This is Norm Cam, and you're watching Hawk and Roll Hysteria on hawkandroll.com. Check it out, baby. Whoa! Go Seahawks!
78 yards against Green Bay.
But I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like I get it. You have different weapons that you can get at your disposal. But you know what though? The sleight of hand, the ability to have a defense second guess themselves because they're wondering whether or not you're actually going to turn the corner. That's, to me, the Seahawk offense didn't even become the Seahawk offense until the third quarter in the second game of the season, and then all of a sudden, to me, it's not the issue of getting Jimmy Graham involved. It's getting Russell Wilson involved in the offense and getting him back to what we saw the first 2 years of his career.
And I want to get into that. Don't go there yet.
No, I want to. Well, right, but I mean,
that out.
Right. I mean, it's like let's not just focus on one thing, and let's actually call it for what it is. That the engineer of this offense starts with number 3, and it's not him dropping back in the pocket and then dumping it off on some dumbass little smoke screen or bubble screen or whatever, or putting being under duress so much that you got to try to mohawky some shuffle pass and get it picked off by some defensive lineman in the third quarter that erases it. Just do what's best, and if that means you're on a read option and you're using your athletic ability to move the chains, then so be it.
Commander, do you think there was Russ kept it a lot last year on the read option? Do you think there was ever a time where Marshawn said, "Bruh, come on, dude, don't take that ball out of my arms once you put it in there"? I mean, we know Marshawn loves to run the ball. I don't know that he's a bitch at your teammates kind of guy. He's never come across. Right. But I wonder if he ever said anything because I remember 3 plays in a row, or at least 2 in a row, on a couple of occasions where Russ kept it, and I almost got the sense like Marshawn was like, I had a hole too. If I have a hole, you got to leave it with me. Do you think that comes into his mind at all?
No, I don't. I think this is just guys out there playing football. You said that he was running it a lot more last year, and it's funny because when you started talking to Steve about it, I felt that Russell Wilson pulled up a little bit last year myself. I thought that read option was really kicking the first 2 years of Russell Wilson, and last year I felt that it looked like he was trying to prove everyone that he's a pocket guy. So I saw him running a lot less last season than the 2 previous seasons, but in that game, and you hit on it, that he looked like the Russell Wilson that now look. We talked about this being his senior year for all intents and purposes. Now 4th year into the NFL, maybe a little bit of a slow start, but I think this is the year that it all clicks. I remember one of the things you said a couple years ago on the radio, Captain. Imagine when the game slows down. It's still slowing down for Russell Wilson. Still slowing down, and he's not there yet. But it's going, and it's going to be visibly noticeable when it does, and we're going to be going, okay, now he's got his groove. We've seen flashes. I mean, think about this: every time that Russ has had to take over a game, he's pretty much done it and been successful at it. And I look at that game in D.C. last year. He put the team on his back and won that thing. Through the air and on the ground.
But now you're 3 straight games where a quarterback that has never relinquished in the fourth quarter overtime has lost 3 straight fourth quarter games now. Super Bowl game week 1 and now week 2. He's had 3 straight fourth quarter collapses, and so my whole thing is, and I get it, when you have one of these type of quote unquote athletic quarterbacks, when they come out in their first year, Colin Kaepernick, RG3, Russell Wilson, and you showcase that athletic ability in terms of the read option, and you're trying to make the game easier for rookie quarterbacks. By year 2, year 3, offensive coordinators like to get out of that mold. But you know what's kind of funny about Russell Wilson? He is so smart when he has the football and he's outside the pocket. He does not take hits just to take hits. He's very conscious about not putting himself in harm's way. And so it's a little bit of a different dynamic. Take, for instance, RG3 or Michael Vick, who literally cannot get out of their own way. Russell Wilson gets out of his own way and then some. So there should be no worry about Russell Wilson running the read option successfully because he's already proven that he can do it. He can get down, and he continue to move the chains.
And granted, he took a couple big hits last year, bigger hits than we've seen him take in the past. But he's got a big trunk. And he works on that and big legs because he knows that's going to keep him healthy. And he's smart. He knows how to take a hit. He knows when to get down. He knows when you have to go for that extra yard and when you don't.
Right.
So the game came down, though, where the Seahawks had an opportunity in Green Bay. It was a very slim one, but with 22 seconds remaining in the ball game, Fred Jackson coughs up the baby, and not much is said about it because there was only 22 seconds left. But let's set up the scenario where, let's say they were on Green Bay's 40,
48.
Okay, 48.
Excuse me, 46. I'm sorry.
So let's just say, for argument's sake, that they take 2 more plays and they score a touchdown. And let's say that those 2 plays take a total of 12 seconds off the clock. Why? Because this is Hawk and Roll Hysteria for the 12th man.
So let's get crazy.
And 6 seconds to play is probably on the quick end of things, but it's still reasonable.
Right.
So you take 12 seconds off the 22, you come back, you kick an onside kick, and now you got a play or 2 to get yourself in field goal range. So potentially, the Seahawks could have been in that with a chance to win it. So overall, when we look at the grand scheme of things, they went to overtime against the Rams.
Right.
And if Fred Jackson doesn't fumble that ball, maybe we're talking a little bit different story here about at least they got a chance to go for the onside again against Green Bay, which, by the way, how great of a story would that have been if they got another onside kick situation and recovered it against Green Bay? Oh my God, that would have been awesome. But Fred fumbled the ball and it didn't happen. But things look bleak at 0-2. We're not used to, being Seahawks fans, seeing our team start off 0-2 under the Pete Carroll era. It's just not something we're used to. So there's a little panic in the air from some fans. Other fans are extremely arrogant and they're like, oh, I'm not worried about it. I think there's always cause for concern in the NFL. Starting off 0-2, the percentages of teams that make it to the playoffs who start 0-2 are very small.
Very small.
Very small.
I think it's like something
12% or something.
12%, yeah, something
like,
ridiculous.
Here comes 12, the number 12 again. That's how. Well, I expect that the Seahawks would be in that 12%. I just expect that they would be in the percentile that makes it happen and gets to the playoffs. So 0-2, but they're back home for the first time this season.
Well, that's the thing. It depends on where those 2 losses occur. Now, you can look at it that they're 0-2. I'm the kind of Seahawk fan that looks at it that they're 8-2.
Right. There you go. Right. That's a great way to look at it.
We've seen this team 8-2, 7-3 right now because this is a team that's only lost 1 game in the last 2 years at Seahawk Stadium. You can call it Quest or Clink and all that other bullshit. I call it Seahawk Stadium. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And just for the
Sure.
record,
Yep.
this is a 0.
No PC. We don't owe anybody.
Well, not just that. Well, the 12s. There's also
Right.
This is a 12th man show.
But
this is not
listen,
the 12s. I'm not
CenturyLink people don't like it being called the Clink, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that, but they've actually placed phone calls to radio stations in the city saying, hey, do us a favor and don't call it the Clink. Call it C-Link, call it CenturyLink.
Yeah, call it Seahawks Stadium as far as I'm concerned. And call it the toughest place in the NFL for other teams to win. So that's the beauty of this season, you guys. 0-2, 2 tough games on the road, but now this is the real home blue Friday that the season really for the Seattle Seahawks gets kicked off. I'm looking at them being 8-2 because they're tough to beat at home. So every year we talk about the pathway to the playoffs. Defend home turf, right, and try to split on the road. Okay, now that split's going to be a little bit, trickier at this point.
But they're going to have to go on a run like they did last year, essentially, at some point in time. And, and we're going to get to the breakdown of the Bears coming into town. But there's another story on the horizon that I want to get your guys' thoughts on. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Graham, the gingered wonder, is reportedly not happy with his role here in Seattle because he hasn't been getting the targets. The Seahawks haven't been making good use of him. Darrell Bevell may or may not be making plays specifically for Jimmy Graham. Now, he's come out and said, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't say that to anybody. I don't know where this came from, but apparently the national story had the whole conversation. Right. So it's a he said, she said kind of thing. And only the people that were in the media scrum at the time, if there were other media folks around, know the true story. But Does he have a right to be unhappy? I mean, he was traded here. It wasn't like he made the conscious decision knowing what he was getting into to come here.
Right.
He was traded here. He didn't have any say in the matter. And he's used to a pocket passer who's throwing to a spot on the field every single time. Jimmy Graham's going to be there. The ball's going to be there. He's got a quarterback now that rolls out, that you have to maneuver around the field and find the open space sometimes. He's going to miss you sometimes, and I know that's really frustrating when you're standing there waving your hands and Russell doesn't see it because he's on the move. So I'll start with you. Does Jimmy Graham, if in fact he is unhappy with his role, does he have a right to be?
First and foremost, Jimmy Graham needs to shut the hell up and just play football, okay?
Here's the thing. Let's say it, if he actually said that.
Now, I'm not a genius, and I don't play one on TV. I don't claim to be one. Although there are some people that think that I know entirely way too much for my own good. What I will say is this: the national story, I believe, was broken by Mike Florio, who, by the way, is a next to Peter King, is a very respected journalism.
Sure he is.
And he has so many contacts in this game that if he's putting his name to something, chances are it's pretty goddamn legit. Pretty goddamn legit. And if he's saying Jimmy Graham's upset, Jimmy Graham is fucking upset, okay? Because he goes from Drew Brees and that fun and gun Superdome offense where Brees is chucking the ball 50 times. You're right, he's a timing quarterback, and so all Jimmy Graham needed to do was just be in the general vicinity, turn around, and there's a ball right there. There's a ball right at him. Now you're in Seattle, where there's never going to be enough catches your way, because that's just not the Seattle offense. It is a pound and ground ball controlled offense, and you know what? Just like we saw last week, there might only be 2 targets for him per game. That's just the way the cookie. That's just the way it rolls in Seattle.
Well, okay.
And so, does he have a right to gripe? No, because he got traded. It's not like he came here via free agency. He doesn't have. I mean, sure, he can be a little upset, but what did you expect? Were you expecting all of a sudden you're going to come in and all of a sudden we're going to check the ball 50 times?
Yes, of course he was, because they traded for him. They didn't just trade to do a willy-nilly deal. They traded for Jimmy Graham. They knew what he was when they traded for him.
To be
and gave him Max Unger
and a first-round pick. It's one
to boot.
The one thing that you expected was red zone capability, which is we haven't seen yet, and I expect that to pick up. But I mean, if you're expecting, it's one thing when you have Percy Harvin and you have the ability to have him as a gadget player where you can roll him on screens and stuff like that, and you can use him literally like on every single down, like Bevell tried to force feed us last year with him before he got booted. But Jimmy Graham is not that type of player where you can just figure out a way where you can design plays for him and get him involved every single down. I don't think it really works that way.
Well, no, but you can get him involved because you can not only play him at tight end, you can split him out wide, you can tell him to run 5 yards and turn around, and you can do no huddle and do that 3 times in a row. But it's
not really
There's a lot you can do.
It's not a no huddle type of offense. I mean, they're not
they've executed the no huddle extremely well when they've run it. Now, do they run it during the middle of the game for no reason? No, but they certainly could, and I'm just saying that is an extreme. They could still run that same 5-yard hitch, turn around, boom, Jimmy Graham, boom, Jimmy Graham.
Right.
Don't throw it to Luke Wilson, even though he somehow found his hands.
Yeah.
See that catch he had against Green Bay? It was nice.
Yeah.
But Grant, listen, you traded away your quarterback on the offensive line, your best offensive lineman, because you wanted Jimmy Graham. Why did you want Jimmy Graham? You want him for a reason, to get him the football. And you could say red zone, but you only have so many red zone attempts. You got to do some things to get to the red zone.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Graham needs to be incorporated in those. I think he's got a right to be upset, but like you said, he was traded here. He didn't make the conscious decision with somebody promising him, hey, we're going to be getting you the ball, we're going to be getting you the ball. But at the same time, we're not sure if he did in fact say that. And Mike Florio is respectable, reputable, the whole bit, but his interpretation of what upset is might be the problem here. Maybe Jimmy Graham just said, hey, I would like to be getting the ball more because that's why I'm here, and he's not really upset, he's just expressing what he thinks. There's a difference. There's a tone difference there. So we don't know what that is.
Couple things. One, if you're going to tell Jimmy Graham to shut the hell up, you should have told Jimmy Graham to shut the hell up when he was still in New Orleans, because he could have shut the hell up about, I'm a wide receiver and give me that money, and ruffle his own feathers down there in New Orleans. Shut the hell up then. But your point's well taken. Second, in terms of what you're talking about, Captain, he might just be Ricky Waters. You know, this might just be a Ricky Waters. Everybody, had the interpretation of him that he was a malcontent and whatnot. Ricky Watters, just a guy who wanted the ball, had confidence in his ability as a football player, wanted to play football, and, just wants to win and wants to compete. And so, to me, Jimmy Graham is probably, the way I look at it as a Seahawk fan, more of a Ricky Watters type kind of player than a Joey Galloway, so to speak.
I have a problem where your offense is going to be hell-bent designed around one player.
Well, that's the other thing, right?
And I think you're getting into dangerous territories where you're going above and beyond to design certain looks.